Rain poured down in heavy sheets, blurring the glow of the streetlights in an upscale suburban neighborhood. The thunder rumbled like distant drums, and water splashed across the pavement, drenching anyone unfortunate enough to be outside. Yet there she was, Amara, her small frame barely visible under a tattered umbrella. Her shirt clung to her body, soaked through, and her jeans were cuffed to avoid the puddles. Clutched against her chest was her 4-year-old daughter, Maya, wrapped in a thin blue blanket that had long since lost its warmth. Amara's knuckles were white as she knocked on another door. She adjusted the plastic grocery bag slung over her arm, filled with colorful, homemade candy wrapped in plastic. Her hands trembled from exhaustion and cold. This was the 10th house she had approached tonight, and just like the others, no one answered. "Mommy, I'm hungry," Maya whispered, her tiny voice drowned by the rain. "I know, baby," Amara whispered back, kissing her daughter's damp curls. "Mommy's trying." Across the street stood a massive mansion, a pristine estate with manicured hedges and white marble pillars. Amara hesitated. Homes like that didn't welcome women like her. She'd learned long ago that wealthy people often looked at her as if she were invisible, or worse, a nuisance. But desperation has a way of silencing pride. Taking a deep breath, she crossed the street, her shoes sloshing in the rain. She rang the bell. For a moment, there was nothing. Then the grand door swung open. Standing there was a tall man in a perfectly tailored navy blue suit. His hair was slicked back, his posture poised. Alexander Monroe, a man whose face graced the covers of Forbes and Fortune, though Amara didn't recognize him. To her, he was just another rich man behind a door. "Yes." His voice was deep, calm, but distant. Amara swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm selling candy to make some money for food. Would you like to buy some?" She held up the bag with trembling hands. Maya peeked out from under her blanket, her big brown eyes wide. Alexander looked at the woman and child. The storm outside framed them like a tragic painting. He could see her exhaustion, the bruises of life's hardships etched into her face, the way she clutched her daughter with protective desperation. "How much?" he asked. $2 a bag," she said softly. "Or whatever you can give." Alexander reached into his wallet, pulled out a crisp $100 bill, and handed it to her. Amara blinked in disbelief. I don't have change, sir," she stammered. "I don't need change," he said. Her voice broke. "Thank you. You don't know how much this means." "Wait," Alexander interrupted. "How long have you been out here in the storm?" "Since this morning," Amara admitted, tears mingling with the rain. "Where are you going after this?" Amara hesitated, embarrassed. "We don't have anywhere right now. The shelter was full tonight." Alexander studied her for a long moment, his sharp gaze softening. Then he said something that froze her in place. "Bring your daughter inside. You'll live here now." Amara thought she had misheard him. "Excuse me, you and your daughter," he said firmly, stepping aside. "Come inside. You're soaked." She stared at him, stunned. People didn't just invite strangers into their homes, especially not into mansions like this. But Maya shivered in her arms, and maternal instinct overpowered her fear. Slowly, she stepped inside. The warmth of the foyer hit her immediately. The marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. It was like stepping into another world. Alexander called out to someone. A housekeeper appeared, equally shocked to see Amara standing there. "Get them towels." "And food," Alexander ordered. Amara tried to protest. "Sir, please, we don't want to trouble you." "You're not a trouble," he said firmly, his voice low but commanding. "You're a guest." Minutes later, Amara sat at a polished dining table, clutching a mug of hot tea. Maya devoured a plate of fresh fruit, cookies, and warm milk. Amara watched her daughter eat, tears welling up in her eyes. Alexander sat across from them, observing quietly. "Tell me your story," he finally said. Amara took a shaky breath. "I grew up in a rough neighborhood," she began softly. "My mom died when I was 16, and I had to drop out of school to take care of my siblings. I met Maya's father when I was 19. Thought he'd take care of us. But He left. No money, no support. I've been working odd jobs, cleaning houses, selling candy I make myself. Some nights, we sleep in shelters. Other nights, in bus stations. Her voice cracked. I'm just trying to give her a better life. Alexander listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When she finished, there was silence. Alexander leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled under his chin. You remind me of someone, he finally said. Amara looked up, surprised. My mother, he explained. She raised me alone. We were homeless for a while, slept in our car some nights. She worked 3 jobs just to feed me. I promised myself I'd get her out of that life. He paused, his gaze softening. I did. She passed away 5 years ago, but I owe everything I have to her sacrifices. Amara's eyes widened. She hadn't expected this wealthy, polished man to know what hunger felt like. That's why you're here, Alexander said firmly. I can't let a woman like my mother and a child like I once was go back into that storm. Over the next few days, Amara and Maya stayed in Alexander's guest wing. At first, she felt awkward, out of place among the velvet curtains and golden chandeliers. But Alexander's staff treated her with warmth, and Alexander himself checked in on them every evening. He bought Maya new clothes and toys, and the little girl quickly warmed up to him. One night, Amara found him sitting cross-legged on the floor, building Lego castles with her daughter, his expensive suit jacket tossed aside. It was the first time she'd seen him smile. You didn't have to do all this, Amara told him softly. I wanted to, he said simply. Weeks passed, and Amara began helping around the house to repay his kindness. She cleaned, cooked, and even managed some of the household errands. Alexander noticed her meticulous work ethic. You're good at organizing, he remarked one evening. Ever thought about a career in management? Amara laughed softly. I never finished high school, Mr. Monroe. Call me Alex, he said with a small smile. And you don't need a diploma to be brilliant. Under his mentorship, Amara started taking online classes. Alexander even arranged for a private tutor. Slowly, she began to believe in herself again. As months passed, the bond between the three deepened. Maya adored Alexander, often calling him Uncle Alex. Amara noticed the way his eyes softened every time Maya climbed onto his lap. One evening, after dinner, Alexander confessed, You and Maya, you brought life back into this house. I'd forgotten what family felt like. Amara felt her heart skip. No man had ever spoken to her like that. With respect, admiration, and genuine care. A year later, Amara was no longer a homeless candy seller. She had completed her business management certification and was running Alexander's Charity Foundation, an organization focused on helping single mothers and homeless families. She used her own story as inspiration, standing on stages and telling crowds,